Hello everyone, welcome to today's show. My name is Spencer Walsh. We got a great one. And on this show, we're talking about Syria and what's going on there with Turkey and the Kurds. And how they may not be as down and out as we may have originally thought. Bernie Sanders taking aim at wealth, and even Elizabeth Warren. We're going to be trying to fit in a debate preview as well. Take a look at that vile and horrific fake video of Trump massacring the media, shown as Miami resort, drawing some backlash. Checking in on the incumbent candidate Morgan Harper, killing it. The insurgent candidate Morgan Harper, killing it, raising $323,000 in the first quarter of her House race. Labor and British politics is what we'll do to round up our show. And you know what? Here's what I'm going to do for a debate preview about this whole situation, looking ahead to the debate, which I believe is Tuesday night. But apparently, we're going to take a look at Politico's debate preview, and I will also just kind of juxtapose my thoughts off of that. So, all right. Big stuff happening in this situation. So kind of a review of what's going on. The Syrian army has entered its key town near the Turkish border, a significant shift in the power dynamic right now. It's really playing out very actively. There are airstrikes. There are people who are dying. Genocide of the Kurds happening in a really direct and crazy way right now. Just in the European Union member states have unanimously agreed to ban arms sales on Turkey. I don't know where the U.S. stands on that. I think they probably do still sell arms to them. But first, this stuff going on with Syria right now. The return of government forces to northeastern Syria, this is from the New York Times here, not only deals a blow to Kurdish-led forces who are supported by the United States, but also signals a major shift in Syria's 8-year war. The Syrian army entered the town of Tel Tamer in the northeastern Syria. The state news media reported on Monday, soon after the government of President Bashar al-Assad forged an alliance with Kurdish forces that control the region. So they now will be working together, kind of in direct opposition really to the U.S. government and kind of their previously held interest there. And the U.S. government really doesn't have any stake in that anymore because they've gone. But it's just kind of the reality of the situation. But the Syrian government has almost been entirely absent from the northeast since it withdrew or was chased out by armed rebels. The Syrian Democratic Forces, a Kurdish-led militia that worked with the United States to fight the Islamic State, soon became the region's overarching political force. And the really tough thing about this is it's really going to, not only is it awful, not only is it wrong what we're doing here, abandoning the Kurds like this after they've done so much for us in every single solitary way, but we're never going to be able to help them or partner with them again to get anything done in the Middle East ever, because, like, this is such an egregious betrayal. It will last in the minds of Kurdish people, as it well should, and probably last in the lives of Americans as well for decades and decades to come. So, I mean, it's really, really tough to take there, that's for sure. Although Syrian Kurds did not declare Assad's government an enemy, Assad distrusted their efforts to establish self-rule and vowed to retake all of Syria's territory, but he had no way to do it, so especially as American troops remained in the area. President Trump's decision last week to remove those troops out of the way of a Turkish incursion gave Assad an opening, and his forces began to fill it on Monday. So, in some towns, they were welcomed by locals who chanted nationalistic slogans and carried Assad's photograph. In other areas, trucks drove a large number of Syrian soldiers in the area to take up positions. Tel Tamer is kind of at a strategic crossroads, the thing is. It connects northeastern Syria within the country's northern hub, Aleppo, and is 20 miles from Ras Al Ain, the center of the Turkish assault right now. So, if Syrian government forces can reach the Turkish border to the north and the Iraqi border to the east, it would be a major breakthrough in Assad's quest to re-establish control over his entire country. Syrian government forces also entered the town of Ain Issa in Monday, a day after it was briefly overrun by Turkish-led troops, and around 500 ISIS sympathizers took advantage of the mayhem and escaped detention, local officials said. So, yeah, great stuff there. So Turkey's kind of been coming down on Syria in control from the government. They've really kind of tried to move in, and there's Turkish and Syrian opposition happening in areas like Aleppo. Kurdish control is firmly over Syria right now. In the northwestern part in areas like Raqqa, Hazaka, and Manbij. I'm definitely not saying these names properly, so I do apologize there. But a Kurdish official, Aldar Seli, said in a statement on Monday afternoon that Syrian forces are to stay away from a section of the Turkish border currently being contested by the Turkish-led forces in the Kurdish militia that controlled the area until last week. Seli said the Kurds will fight alone in the part of the border where the Turkish forces have already established a strong presence. He added that Kurdish authorities will also remain in charge of the administration and policing of the region, but Syrian officials have not confirmed the details of the plan that Seli described. So, also now, Justin, EU foreign ministers have agreed to ban arms sales to Turkey. All 28 EU member states agreed unanimously on Monday to ban selling all weapons. It's the first time the bloc reached such a decision about a NATO ally, unanimously agreed. So the joint statement from foreign ministers, the bloc condemned Turkey's incursion into northeastern Syria, agreeing on the strong wording despite initial concerns from Britain. But they're going to be out of it, so why do they care? The EU condemns Turkey's military action, which seriously undermines the stability and security of the whole region, resulting in more civilian suffering and further displacement, and severely hindering access to humanitarian assistance. So it is very, very tough. Probably worse things are going on right now. There's very, very disturbing videos online of some of the things that are happening that really aren't making it out into the full surface, but it is incredibly tough to see that happening, because you just don't know. You just don't know what's going to be you don't know the full details. All the facts are very, very clogged. It's not like it's the biggest story in the news right now. So it's very, 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 very tough to find out enough about this. But hopefully we as the government, our U.S. government, can get in and do something about this situation. So it is. Yeah, so things just kind of can maybe possibly get a little bit better when it comes to that. So the legal and practical elements of such a move are complicated. Like most EU nations, Turkey is a NATO member. European officials decided the best way to enforce the ban was through suspending licensing for arms sales in individual European capitals, making it a national move. The complexity was reflected in the joint statement, citing earlier plans from France and Germany to immediately halt arms exports licensing to Turkey. The minister said that the member states commit to strong national positions regarding their arms export policy to Turkey. The decision is expected to be the most significant for Germany, a major source of weapons for Turkey. Britain, France, and Italy also sell arms to Turkey. So, yeah, Bashar al-Assad is going to be the new guy coming in there helping Turkey, which a lot of people didn't really see coming. Probably a good chance for Bashar al-Assad to kind of get control back of his country and also kind of just get more power and get a better foothold in the region. So it's only been a week since President Trump pulled back American forces, and alliances are already shifting. ISIS is reinvigorated, and the lives of thousands of civilians are endangered. Embittered by the American abandonment by their American allies, Kurdish leaders moved to secure a new partner, the government of Bashar al-Assad, an avowed foe of the United States. Probably want to get one over in the United States there as well. Did it successfully. Late Sunday, the Syrian Democratic Forces said they had struck a deal with the Assad government that would allow the government forces to enter Kurdish-controlled northeast of Syria for the first time in years. The commander of the SDF wrote an article for Foreign Policy that explained the reasoning behind that deal. The commander is named Mazloum Abdi. Said the absence of the American help against the Turkish invasion, he had no option but to seek help from the Syrian army and their Russian allies, even though we do not trust their promises. They haven't always worked together well in the past. We know that we have had to make painful compromises with Moscow and Bashar al-Assad if we go down the road of working with them. But if we choose between compromises and the genocide of our people, we will surely choose life for our people. That's definitely an interesting choice, really. It's an obvious choice, and really one that they shouldn't have to be making after all the good work and the good things that they've done for the United States. The fact that, again, we abandoned them like this is just such a weird move. And the craziest, most confusing part of this whole situation is the kind of like really twisted militarism that President Trump tries to employ at sometimes. It just does not make any sense. It really just doesn't. So, Trump administration officials once argued that keeping Assad's forces out of the territory were crucial to stemming Iranian and Russian influences in Syria, but with American troops on the way out, Washington has lost its leverage. So the worst thing in military logic and comrades is the trench is betrayal, said one official allied with the Kurdish Syrian Democratic Forces. So obviously not very good at all. Some American military members who had worked closely with the Kurdish militia were also appalled. They trusted us and we broke their trust, said one Army officer. It's a stain on the American conscience, and you should really put his name to that if he's going to be that bold and direct. But anyway, that's kind of a look at what's going on right there in Syria. But what we're going to do now is we're going to take a look at what's going on in the 2020 presidential race and what will happen next with our foreign policy. It's kind of determining the future happening right now. And one of the top contenders there, Bernie Sanders. Since his heart attack earlier this month, the press has begun loudly asking how long Bernie can stay afloat in the Democratic primary and why, moreover, he should bother trying. So it's the whole thing. Nate Silver wondering openly whether he's just in that phase where he's trying to get his platform as far left as possible. No, Bernie, trust me, as an expert on the Bernie Sanders campaign, I just have a brain. He's not in that phase at all. He had a health problem, obviously, but he's not going anywhere. So that is the truth of the matter. After all, Senator Elizabeth Warren, the field's other solid progressive, has taken the lead against Joe Biden in a number of national polls, has declared support for Sanders' vision for Medicare for all. An interview this week on ABC's John Carl put the question to Sanders directly, saying, quote, "What do you say," he asked, "to those who say they would pick her because she's 8 years younger than you, she didn't have a heart attack, and on the position you're pretty much the same?" And I really do like this question because it really kind of forces Bernie Sanders to do something that he hasn't done in a very, very long time, which is distinguish himself from Elizabeth Warren, something that he really needs to do in order to win this race, and something that he's really never had to do in his political career. It's been easier for him. But now that so many people are coming out here and pretty much stealing positions that he's already had for a long time, not necessarily Elizabeth Warren, but a lot of other people in the race like Kamala, Buttigieg, all those people, and trying to make their own, trying to make more palatable to the elite versions of what Bernie's positions have been. Like, he's really going to have to do this, just the reality of the situation. So, in response to Carl, Sanders made references to a comment from Warren last year, saying, quote, "I think she's a very, very good senator. But there are differences between Elizabeth and myself. Elizabeth, I think, as you know, has said she's a capitalist through her bones. I'm not. While Sanders, obviously, is a self-described democratic socialist, he's rarely contrasted himself with Warren this directly, which he should do more of. Please, please, please do more of. It's going to be the way to help you win. Show the differences between Elizabeth Warren. Maybe hint at her moving really to the center a little bit to possibly appease some people that a little bit suspect there of some of the things that he's really trying to do. Harry Reid coming out and saying, she's not really going to do Medicare for all. I don't know if she's saying that in the context of, oh, that's a good thing, or maybe that's not. I don't know what his personal view on it, but I think it's very interesting to hear Harry Reid come out and say that. I don't think Elizabeth Warren's going to do Medicare for all. I think Bernie Sanders is going to do Medicare for all, but I don't think Elizabeth Warren is. It's going to paper over. It's going to smooth over in time. The fact that he thinks that that's what's going to happen is incredibly interesting to me and very, very telling of probably the overall view of the Democratic establishment and a lot of the view of the people in the press, and that's why they're warming up to it, and that's why they are still giving Bernie Sanders the very solid cold shoulder. So, well, Sanders, again, he's done that, but it has not been easy. Behind the labels they've applied to themselves, Sanders and Warren spent the campaign promising to curb inequality and fight corruption, naming the greedy enemies of a fair economy on Wall Street and Silicon Valley, and taking inspiration from people like Franklin Delano Roosevelt and his programs like the New Deal. Obviously, heroes of progressive capitalism there. Over the past few months, through Sanders and Warren and their differences in domestic policy, they've diverged pretty substantially. In late September, the Sanders campaign met Warren's already ambitious proposal for a wealth tax on households worth at least $50 million, with a more aggressive multi-bracketed plan that could halve the wealth of American billionaires in 15 years. That's pretty cool stuff. That's a bomb on the billionaire class right there from Bernie Sanders. Ooh. You know what, I have to fit that bomb sound